All right, we're back with the Lone Ranger Radio Show along with Cleve Loveland from Loveland Properties. We got a lot to cover in this segment. I do want to talk a little bit, Cleve, about DSCRs, debt service coverage ratio loans. We're doing a lot of them right now.
That is incredible, that rate you were talking about.
Yeah, so let's explain what a DSCR is. So first of all, it's only for investment properties, but a lot of people want to buy investment properties and maybe they don't want to show their income or they don't have enough income to support having investment property. So we came up with a program called a debt service coverage ratio loan, meaning the debt on the loan, the mortgage payment, has to be equal to or less than what the rent would be on that property. So if you're getting $3,000 a month in rent, and your payment's $3,000, that's the only income that we need to qualify.
And
so
I just did the math on that because go ahead, keep going.
So, well, you think about this, and therefore it requires you to put down 20, 25, or sometimes even 30%. So there is a little bit larger down payment, but they can come with or without prepayment penalties. But think about this. If you have no prepayment penalty, your rate's going to be somewhere in the sevens. Okay. If you can buy a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. If you have a 3 year prepayment penalty, I can get that interest rate down low enough to where it's not any different than where you would be on a non-owner occupied conventional loan. So in the sixes, like in the high sixes, but you can be in the sixes for a type of loan that's an alternative loan, which is unheard of. So if you want to buy investment property, it is unheard of, and it's a great product.
So I'm looking like at a 350 more. Let's say property rents for 3,000. I'm looking at a 350 mortgage. So that's probably in the low fours to mid fours, and the mortgage on that at around 7% is 2,300. Add on taxes and insurance, you're probably around 3,000.
Yep. By the time you're done,
and that's incredible.
That's really all the income I need.
And in this market to buy investment properties, if you're just going to flat out buy one, you need to put down 25, maybe even 30% just to cash flow. I mean, and some people are okay with the investments, but if you're in your 70s, you probably want cash flow. You don't want to just buy it to sit on it and speculate. Shouldn't be using that much leverage in your 70s or 80s. But for a young investor, now I want to talk about also, I think one of the best ways for somebody to get into investment property is leapfrogging.
Absolutely, it is. We talk about leapfrogging. I'm working with a couple of clients right now. Leapfrogging is a system by which I set up because I didn't have enough money to buy investment properties. I couldn't afford to put 20% down, but I knew that buying properties was a great way for me to develop wealth for retirement and wealth to be able to pass on to my children. So I started buying properties that I would live in, so I could put minimum payment down anywhere between 3 and 5%. I'd pay PMI, but I could buy more properties. So I could buy a property every year or 2 years because I could save 5% of a property. I couldn't save 20%
I just think it's so simple for people to do. I've got a couple of my leapfroggers this year buying their fourth property.
Absolutely.
And they're in their 30s. He's 40. I think she's 30 something. I got another couple in their younger 30s, just smart about this.
Absolutely.
And it just cracks me up because they are really cranking away on building equity, and they're cash flowing on. Actually, they cash.
Charles has got 4 properties now.
He's got 3,
and I think Ruby's got 10 already. She's moving right along. I've got my friend Kristen. He's got several properties. They're really building this up, and they're starting to understand how this can leverage. Matter of fact, I'm teaching a class today out in Kissimmee for a group of moving companies that own moving companies, a wealth building class. Some of these guys own $10 million moving companies, and they wanted me to come in and teach a wealth building class. I said, you do realize that I'm not a financial advisor, right? You do realize that I'm a 10th grade dropout.
Well, there's an art to saving money, and you and I know that wealth. There's an art to being wealthy.
And I don't think that most Americans really understand how to manage money and make it work and leverage it. And when I look at somebody that's got money in the market, I go, well, how much are you making on your investments? I don't know, probably I'm up 18, 19%. Well, then why do you want to put 20% down on the house? Put down 10%. Yeah. Oh, no, I just don't want the PMI. Well, let's look at the math.
Yeah.
And the math makes sense. They just don't want it. It's an emotional thing for them. It's not logical. And listen, you're the customer. I can only advise you. I can tell you the best thing to do, the way to leverage, but you have to make the decision on what you want to do.
Yep.
It's all about you.
You know, I want to talk about one of the biggest problems I see out there right now in real estate is inexperience. You know, 70% of the realtors out there, this is nationwide, didn't even do a deal last year, Bruce. So, and I bet you another 20% probably only did 1, 2, 3, 4, barely made a living, and they'll get flushed out of the business, hopefully sooner rather than later. But the problem is not knowing. When you go to market a property, Bruce, I walk into properties that were listed for 90 days, for 4 months, 5 months, and I show them what I do, and they're like, "Oh my God." But I look at them, they look like crime scenes.
I agree.
They're not cleaned up. I see rental properties that look like they're abandoned. The windows should be boarded up. I mean, just looks horrible. And you got to know where to spend money. I've got a 50-point staging checklist. When I say staging, I'm not talking about renting somebody's furniture. And it's funny. I see all those companies popping up now where you can, rent furniture and fill a house up. Those are ex-realtors trying to sell furniture now.
Oh, I see.
So, but it's just the staging of a house. You want to put the best foot forward. And usually I'm spending about 1 or 2%. Paint, clean up the yard, mulch the flower beds, trim the trees off the roof, maybe do a pre-listing inspection. I've got one right now. It's in really, really bad shape. We're not going to do a lot of cosmetics to it because it is a total renovation, but we're going to do a building inspection. So we know a pre-listing inspection. So we know what's wrong. So all of these things come into play. And Bruce, I see some photos. It looks like there was a frat party in the house the night before.
It's incredible.
And you got to put your best foot forward so that buyer can envision themselves, their life inside that home. How are they going to live there? Not have them thinking, what the heck was going on here? Yeah. And I see a lot of things like that. And the trouble is we got these virtual brokerages. We have absentee brokers. We have, there's no sales office. There's no physical office, all this remote work. I love what the Trump administration is doing right now, getting rid of the remote workers. You see the guy?
I agree.
The guy that used to be president of Pulte Homes. He's now head of HUD.
Oh,
he's walking through empty offices that are HUD. I don't know if it's Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. He's walking through government offices totally empty.
And we're paying for that.
Floors of empty desks and workstations, and we were paying for that. I mean, it's just that this is what some of these real estate offices are. There's nobody there except for compliance people. There's people that check off, do we have this disclosure? Do we have that disclosure? Right. But there's nobody that says, hey, here's the best way a house needs to look.
Anyone that is not in favor of cleaning up government waste is probably getting government waste.
Yeah.
Right. And how do these people like Elizabeth Warren become worth $65 million when she's never made more than $200,000 a year? Yeah. How does that happen?
Yeah. Well, and
she's not leapfrogging that much either.
To equate that to to property management, when a tenant doesn't want to move, doesn't want anything done to the house, you see people, they're getting like no low rent. They're getting no late fees. They're getting those things. So I see that a lot on my property management side, Bruce. And I just took over for 3 properties for a landlord, all of them getting about 60% of the rent they should get. Luckily, 2 of the leases were month to month. So we're booting those tenants out. The 3rd tenant, the lease is coming up, and they keep the house nice. We're going to give them a market rent, a letter saying rent's going to market rate. Here's 90 days notice, and I'm going to control that for them. But when this owner's all said and done, his headaches are gone because he's chasing rent.
Sure.
His property, the maintenance is gone. I told him some things we need to go ahead and get fixed up, but I have the staff to do that. And it's a semi-passive investment.
Sure. Absolutely.
The most I talk to my landlord sometimes is, hey, the fridge broke a couple times. Maybe we got to go ahead and replace it. Or the AC is old. Let's go ahead and do it. Or the tenant's lease is almost up. Let's go ahead and replace that worn out carpet from the last tenant. Let's give them new luxury vinyl plank floors. And by the way, your rent's going up.
Right.
So all these things come into play in the strategies.
You have to learn to be a good landlord. You have to be a responsible, good landlord.
You cannot be a doormat.
Well, and if you aren't a good, responsible landlord, your tenants don't tell you when things are broken. And then you are the type of person that goes, I don't like rental properties because they're destroyed every time I come back to you. It's because you don't manage
Give the
properly.
tenant an inch, they will take a mile.
Absolutely.
And then
listen, you want to reach Cleve? Call him now. Cleve Loveland, the voice of real estate in Orlando, 407-352-8118, 407-352-8118. Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger, 407-706-3313. That's 407-706-3313, or webringyouhome.com. Tampa Bay, all my friends down in Tampa, 813 813-213-4009. That's 813-213-4009. I will be teaching a leapfrog class in Tampa. I believe I'm setting it up for late April or May. I'll get with Jeanette and we'll get that on the calendar and I will announce that. If you're looking to buy, refinance, if you're looking to build on your own lot, maybe you want to find a lot and build on it. Maybe you want a production builder. Maybe you want a semi-production builder. Maybe you found a house that you want to buy, but it needs renovation. I can include the renovation in the transaction.
Yes, you have that product.
I have that.
I know you have the product.
If you are thinking about a reverse mortgage, you don't have to go with Tom Selleck. Believe me, they're paying him a lot of money for that.
He will steal your home.
He will steal your home right now. I don't know about that. I don't, but I can tell you one thing. Yeah. I can tell you one thing. They are becoming popular as we are aging out. We're seeing more and more people that ultimately really didn't save enough money, not by their fault, but they just, we're relying on Social Security and people don't have pensions.
About your real estate plan. This is why I talk about real estate planning. I've come across those people that have like very limited fixed income, retired, not a lot of assets, just the house, or I've got one now, downsizing, selling, going to get about $500,000. Right. And that's all the money in the world besides fixed income. And I think that's a situation, but I'm having them confirm that with their financial planner. I'm not a financial planner, but I know kind of what works in real estate and I know what doesn't. So, but I've come across properties, Bruce, where people aren't thinking about, I've had people say, I want to sell. I go, well, hang on a minute. The builder down the street is going to be gone in 6 months. Let's give it another year. Your mortgage is in its 15th year on a 30-year AM. You're going to have 10 grand more in equity on the mortgage. You're going to have 20 grand more in equity because even though the inventory is high right now, prices are still rising. Sure, I can do these kind of calculations and give them a window of what to look at. And I've had people say, you're only going to walk away with 40 grand right now. Next year, you could walk away with 70 or 80. And that's a big difference to some people.
100%. And we're seeing more and more 1031 exchanges for investment properties. If you have investment properties and you don't want to pay the capital gains on it, talk to Cleve and I about 1031 exchanges. We can help you out with that. You can avoid the tax consequences, defer them to a better time. But like I said, we're doing reverse mortgages. I'm doing asset depletion for people that are aging out that have limited income but high assets. Then we've got our first-time home buyers. I've got an FHA loan, no money down. So I'm really doing a combo loan with an FHA loan. So it's 3.5%.
Okay, good.
Just on the FHA. So I'll back up that other, the 3.5 that you had to put down with the second mortgage. You have no money out of pocket.
That's great.
And we get the seller to pick up your closing costs.
That's what's important. You do have a lot of products, and it just amazes me at all the things you can do there. I like that DSCR that could actually have a 1 or 2 or 3 year penalty, and you might even end up in the high 6s on that.
You can keep your rate the same as a conventional loan on an investment property.
Because prices are rising now, and I have my younger investors buying, leapfrogging, and they're working on they got cash flow on their first 2 properties and maybe not on their third. Because rates have gone higher, but as this levels off and we rearrange things and rates come down, they refinance, because I think when you think, what's our refinance window where things really take off? You think we hit 5.99?
I think when we're south of 5 and 3/4, 5 and 3/4, but people will start doing it in the low 6s. I'm not encouraging to do that. I think they should hold off. But what I did is I created a VIP watch list because a lot of people are waiting for rates to drop. But I'm telling them, if you're just looking to reduce your payment, reduce your interest rate, or eliminate PMI, don't do it right now. Particularly you veterans, don't do it right now. I created a VIP watch list. I will keep you posted as to when it's the right time. And then it's the right time because no one else is telling you not to do it right now. I'm telling you not to do it. Now, if you are struggling with debt and you've gotten behind, but you have equity, it is a good time to really talk to me about debt consolidation. Don't wait for a late payment. Cleve and I will be back in 5 minutes. Just stay tuned. You got the Lone Ranger on the Lone Ranger radio show at 407-706-3313 or webringyouhome.com. My friend Cleve Loveland can be reached right now at 407-352-8118 for the voice of real estate here in Central Florida. Don't go anywhere.